Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Very nice
Hare
to see
Krishna.
you
Hare
all.
Krishna.
Thank you so much. Let's
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
let's
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Let's do a quick Jai Radha Madhava, and after that we will discuss our topic for today is associating with pure devotees, and the devotee for today is Mahatma Vidura, Saint Vidura. Is a wonderful character for Mahabharata and Bhagavatam, and so many wonderful lessons we can learn from the life and teachings of Mahatma Vidura. Please bear with me today, and I request everybody to participate and interact, and let us discuss, let us learn together. And I'm sure we all will enjoy a lot just by doing this process. But before that, just a quick Jai Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radhe. Jaya Pancha Tattva, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadhanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa sindubhya cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. So Hare Krishna, all the devotees assembled here on Zoom as well as on YouTube. So thank you so much for taking time to attend this class and give your association. It is really appreciated. And I humbly request all the devotees to shower their blessings upon me so that I may speak something, I may point out something from the Bhagavatam which is useful for all of us. We are eternally grateful to our dear Srila Prabhupada for giving us this wonderful opportunity. I can see from my own life that how material nature is very easily takes away from our main focus, that is Krishna, serving Krishna. It is one need not to try to deviate from Krishna. It is easy. The material nature offers so many things day in and day out for all of us. But Prabhupada has kindly given us this process. And this process, by following this process, we will bring that back to Krishna. Our mind wanders because we interact with so many things in day in and day out. But if we follow the process, then we can bring that mind back, our consciousness back to Krishna. And that's why this process is simple for simple, complicated for the complicated, Prabhupada said. In the simple in sense, just follow the process, just associate with the devotees, discuss Krishna Katha in the association of devotees. Prabhupada introduced every day Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning. However, we are a small center where we are gathering once a month. Just come together. I know there is so much that will distract us, but somehow or other, if we can get together that once a month, and it will motivate each other and it will help each other. By you coming, you helping me. Yes, we all coming together, help each other. So we are eternally grateful for Prabhupada for giving us this wonderful opportunity of coming together and hearing Krishna Katha. And also for giving us this wonderful literature. Every time when you read Prabhupada books, you feel, my God, how Prabhupada is able to write all that. Every purport is like a little thesis. So, and how is it possible for us to associate with the pure devotees? Prabhupada said, read Bhagavatam. Especially in the current situation, pandemic situation, we can just open Bhagavatam and read Bhagavatam. When we read Bhagavatam, we associate with Prabhupada by reading his purports and by reading his translations. And secondly, we also associate with the personalities, pure devotees that are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So every month we are taking one devotee. Last year we did Mahajan series, and this year we are doing, we are talking on other devotees. Last month we focused on Dhruva Maharaj and took so many wonderful lessons. And today we will be focusing on Vidura. Wonderful personality from Bhagavatam and Mahabharata. And just by reading, we take association. You need not to physically go elsewhere. Yes, definitely when there is an opportunity, we definitely go and take the physical association. But if that is not possible, we just come together and hear Krishna Katha. That is taking, if we are reading about Vidura, if we are discussing about Vidura, that means we are associating with Vidura. Prabhupada also says, if you are hearing about Krishna, you are associating with Krishna. Hearing about Krishna and personal association of Krishna is non-different. Prabhupada mentioned several times in the purport. And Prabhupada gives, that's why so much importance for this hearing and discussing Krishna Katha. Okay, so with that background, let's see what we can discuss today. There may be so many names that come up, but don't worry, I'll try to simplify. So let's see who is Vidura. I know that most of you probably heard Vidura as being a famous personality. But let's see for everyone's benefit, very quick background to Vidura. The literal meaning of Vidura means one who knows. Vidhu means know. Vidura is one who knows the real truth. One who knows that he is the servant of the Lord. One who knows that he is not body. One who knows that he is not a kshatriya, not a vaishya, not a shudra, not a vanaprastha, but is mere servant of the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Sri Krishna. Vidura means one who knows the real truth. And who is he? Let us see. Let me share the screen. And there is a family dynasty of Kurus. I've got many windows open. Hopefully, I'll pick the right one. Excellent. Okay, just a little background. Don't want to complicate things. So Hastinapur was ruled by King Shantanu. He had two wives. First wife was Ganga, Mother Ganga, and second wife was Satyavati. Ganga itself is a big story. We are not going. And so Shantanu produced one son through Ganga, Bhishma. He produced, of course, 8 children, but 7 were thrown into Ganga. That's a separate story. So Bhishma was, Bhishma's mother was Ganga. And then Satyavati, through Satyavati, he produced 2 children, Vichitraviryada and Chitrangada. And they got married to Ambika, Ambalika. Too many names coming up. But before producing children, these 2 brothers, Satyavati's children, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya, they died. So there is no heir for the kingdom, no successor for the throne. So what to do? This is an emergency. Then Satyavati, she called for his son, another son. She had another son. We talked about 2 sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya, through King Shantanu. But she also had another son, Vyas, by sage Parashar. Okay. So she called for his son and asked that, you unite with this, my daughter-in-laws and produce children. Otherwise, there is no one to rule the kingdom. And then Vyas, as for his mother's instruction, united with these 2 queens, Ambika and Ambalika, and he produced Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So, however, the Satyavati was not satisfied because Vyasdev told the first son who is going to be born is Dhritarashtra, is blind, and Pandu had another problem. So then Satyavati said that, oh maid servant, why don't you go and unite with Vyasdev? So through maid servant, he produced another son, Vidura. So we have Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. Everybody knows Arjun. Arjun, because Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. Everybody knows Arjun. Arjuna is one of the 5 Pandavas, and their father was Pandu. So Pandu has 2 brothers. Elder brother, Dhritarashtra, who was born blind, and younger brother, Vidura, who who was born to a maid servant. So this is the background. So how basically these three are the children of Vyasdev. So Vidura, he acted as a counselor. So he was considered, externally he was considered as a Shudra because he was son of a maid servant. He was externally considered as a Shudra. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, famous verse is there. Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati. I am not Shudra. I am not Brahman. I am not Kshatriya. I am not this. I am not this. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So externally was considered as Shudra. So who was he? Why was he taken birth? There was a past history, and several our Priyarani Mataji narrated this story when she was talking about Mahajan series Yamraj. So this Vidura was Yamaraj in his past life. Yama, Lord of Death. Why was he taken birth as Vidura, as a Shudra? So there is a little story given that once the state constables, they were chasing some thieves, but they hid in an ashram, in a place where Manduka Muni was performing his tapasya or his service. So these police constables, they arrested the thieves and as well as the Muni, Manduka Muni, because they thought Manduka Muni was giving shelter to the thieves. And so they were taken to the magistrate, and magistrate awarded the punishment. And the punishment was that this Manduka Muni to be pierced with a lance and then awarded death punishment. So when the news came out and the king heard, king immediately stopped this punishment for Manduka Muni. Manduka Muni was a great sage. Why you need to be pierced to be death? So, and then the punishment was stopped. And then he thought, why I am awarded? Why I was awarded this death punishment? Then he said, let me go to hell and actually directly speak to Yamraj. So he went to the hell and he questioned why I was awarded this death punishment. And he narrates on the story, Yamraj, when you are a child, that you pierced an ant with a thorn or something, sharp blade. So for that, you need to be experienced similar kind of pain. So that's why you were given this punishment. And Manduka Muni was a little bit astonished. How come that the child, when I was a child, I was ignorant. I don't know what I was doing. How come you award this punishment? Let me curse you to take birth as Shudra. Firstly, human birth. They were demigods, isn't it? Devatas. They had a different body, different consciousness, different intelligence. So first curse was that you lose your demigod body, godly body, take birth as human. And second was that you will take birth as a Shudra, not as a Brahmin or something else. So that was the curse. And Prabhupada writes that that curse became a great boon for Yamraj. And those who are in the administration, they know how easy to do administration or how difficult. Because he was always busy in punishing people. always busy. Other demigods had a little bit of time for enjoyment, but Yamaraj never had time because hell is always busy. Hell is always busy. So you need a little bit of break, So sometimes you also feel when you are in the management, when you are in the administration, any organization, that you needed a break from that. Constantly you'll be bombarded with messages, bombarded with these things, and so many things comes in any organization. So you need always a break to recharge your batteries. So Yamaraj needed a break. So that's why Krishna blessed him with this punishment, external so-called punishment. But now it was a holiday for Lord Yamaraj. How long was the holiday for? 100 years. We go holiday for a couple of weeks and then we have to come back. But Yamaraj was given 100 years holiday. So that was the background. Externally, people may think he was cursed, but actually the real reason is that he needed a break, and he needed so that he can also interact participate in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, just as Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev was one of the Vasus in higher planets, but he was cursed to take birth as a human. But the opportunity he had was Lord Krishna's association. When Bhishma Dev was leaving his body, Lord Krishna was personally present. Similarly, Vidura, he had seen Krishna face to face. He had interacted with Krishna face to face. We also know that the story, famous story, that how Krishna rejected the offering, food offerings by Duryodhan, and went to Vidura's house and ate that little banana peel. We all know. So that's how much Krishna likes Vidura and Vidura's wife. So that's the background. And now let us see what we can learn from Vidura and his teachings. Vidura being Yamaraj, Yamaraj means dharma, religious personified. He's always righteous. And from Bhagavatam, we got a couple of things that we can discuss. Let us go to first canto, third chapter, or sorry, third canto, first chapter, and we will read something from there. Let me share the screen. Okay. So can I request someone to read? Okay, so I've got the numbers here. From text 6 onwards, I will stop when required. But if someone can read, 1 second, am I in the right chapter? Yeah, 3:1, supposed to be 3:1. Yes, please. Someone can read from text 6, please.
Text 6?
Yes.
From text 6, yeah?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, King Dhritarashtra became blind under the influence of impious desires to nourish his dishonest sons. And thus he set fire to the lacquer house to burn his fatherless nephews, the Pandavas. The king did not forbid his son Dushasan's abominable action of grabbing the hair of Draupadi, the wife of the godly king Yudhishthira, even though her tears washed the red dust on her breast. Yudhishthira, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling, but because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, he went off to the forest. When he came back in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjuna into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world. And although his words were heard by some, like Bhishma, as pure nectar, it was not so for the others, who were completely bereft of the last farthing of past pious works. Sorry, Prabhuji. Bereft of the last farthing of last pious works, the king Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously. When Vidura was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidura are approved by expert ministers of state. Vidura said, "You must now return the legitimate share to Dhritarashtra, who has no enemies and who has
legitimate share to Yudhishthira. You said Dhritarashtra mistakenly.
Sorry. You must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthira, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him." Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pritha as his kinsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Sri Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and princes of the Yadu dynasty, who have conquered an unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. You are maintaining offense personified, Duryodhana, as your infallible son, but he is envious of Lord Krishna. And because you are maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible and do good to the whole family. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle, Shakuni, who asked him to come here. Sorry?
Is there a problem? I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. And
yes, I think there was a little problem with something. Yeah. Text 15 onwards.
15. Yeah, thank you. Who asked him to come here? The son of a kept mistress. He is so crooked that he spies in the interest of the enemy against those on whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the place immediately and leave him with only his breath. Thus, being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapur, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a high order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. He began to travel alone, thinking only of Krishna through various holy places like Ayodhya, Dwarka, and Mathura. He traveled where the grove, hill, orchard, river, and lake are all pure and sinless, and where the forms of the unlimited decorate the temples. Thus, he performed the pilgrim's progress.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
So
Krishna.
that was a little background to Vidura, why he went on a pilgrimage. There are some beautiful lessons we can learn, and please pay attention to this. So we know that there are three brothers: Dhritarashtra, who was blind, and next we had Pandu, and then Vidura. So Pandu, because Dhritarashtra was blind, although he was the eldest, Vidura said that he cannot become the king because a blind person cannot become the king and cannot rule. Then Pandu became the king. But at some point, Pandu had to retire for forest with his wife Kunti and wives Kunti and Madri. Then when Pandu had left, Dhritarashtra became the king, and Vidura was a prime minister or a counselor, always giving advice. So Dhritarashtra was ruling, but it was Duryodhan, his eldest son, who is the main person that was, running all the drama. So when the Pandavas, they returned from the forest, of course, there was a gambling match, and they were defeated by the Kauravas unlawfully in the gambling match. But however, Pandavas, they stuck to their words and went to the forest. And when they returned, they wanted their share of kingdom. They didn't want more or less, anything less. And then Duryodhan didn't want to give that kingdom. What to speak of the kingdom? Not even 5 villages for 5 Pandavas. What to speak of 5 Pandavas? He said that I can't give you the place that is occupied by a small pin. And then, now, then there is a battle. But to stop the battle, Arjuna chose, and of course, Pandavas chose Krishna as a peace messenger, just to see if he can prevent the battle. Last resort to prevent the battle. So Krishna went to Hastinapur as a peace messenger to give the right advice to Dhritarashtra and his sons. So, of course, Krishna failed as a peace messenger. He gave the right instruction, but they did not digest the truth. They didn't want it. Prabhupada gives one nice example there. Although Krishna's instructions were so beautiful, so useful, but they were not palatable to Dhritarashtra and his son Duryodhan. Prabhupada gives very nice analogy. Sugar candy is sweet to every healthy human being, except for the person who is suffering from jaundice. When we get a good instruction, if you are in the right consciousness, we take that right instruction. About, we are just like a jaundice person cannot taste the sugar. So anyway, so Dhritarashtra called for Vidura to give final verdict on this peace advice, that is peace message that is given by Krishna. And simply Vidura was very, very straightforward. He said, yes, you have a big problem. You are maintaining offense personified. Who is that offense personified? Your son, Duryodhan. Why is offense personified? because he is non-devotee of Lord Krishna. That is your problem. And this he told in front of everyone in the assembly. You just have to get rid of him. So that was the advice. And so what did, everybody was there in the assembly. Duryodhan in return said, he actually insulted. You are actually son of Shudra. You are being maintained by us. You have no place. Get out of this place. So he was insulted, although he was his uncle, much senior to him. He was insulted in the assembly. Vidura was insulted. And how did Vidura feel when he insulted? How did he feel? In the text 16, it says that this is the nature of the external energy of the Lord, Maya. External energy always offers some challenges to us. So he didn't get disturbed. There may be some feeling inside. But what does a devotee do when there is challenge comes, when there is an insult comes, when somebody insults you, when somebody criticizes you? What would devotee do? Is given by here, is exemplified by Vidura. He firstly thought this is the nature of Lord's external energy. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, the sage had 24 gurus, and one of those gurus was Mother Earth. And from Mother Earth, what did he learn? He learned tolerance. One guru was air, the other guru was fire, the other one was tree. Like that, he had 24 gurus. Intelligence means that we learn from every situation and every person around us. That is intelligence. So he learned tolerance from Mother Earth. And what did he say? That Mother Earth, so many people carry so many bad activities on this planet. Mother Earth tolerates them, thinking that they are helplessly acting by the illusory energy of the Lord. So when other person behaves inappropriately, this is what we should think. Yes, they are acting helplessly by the energy of the Lord. That's what Vidura thought. And what did he do? So the devotees turn challenges into opportunities, always. We see from time and time again. Can you give some examples where devotees have turned challenges into opportunities? Raise your hand or unmute, you can speak up.
Well, Vidura decided to go on a pilgrimage because he was going to turn this opportunity and this situation into a more positive energy, a more positive opportunity. So he was not going to let this bring him down in any way. He was taking it as a blessing from the Lord that, well, I'm never going to be able to get out of this kingdom to take a break. I'm always running something or the other. So I am. Very good. Thank you very much for insulting me. You don't even know what you're doing. I'm off on a vacation. I want to go to all these holy dhams that I have wanted to go for so long. And now I am going.
Excellent. Mataji, you summed it all. You summed it all in Vidura's case. Thank you so much. But any other examples? I'm going to ask other devotees, give a chance to other devotees. Any other examples where devotees have turned challenges into opportunities?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhupada ji comes into mind because
Wow.
when he was in the boat and having heart attacks, he said, now, Krishna, I'm totally dependent on you.
Yes, and Prabhupada is such a wonderful example. And I thought about that example as well. When everything was taken away from him by Krishna, his business was not going well.
Yeah.
And so everything was taken by Krishna. So then what did he do? He
108 temples.
turned that challenge into opportunity.
Yeah.
That he took up this mission, and then that's why we are here. So he had several challenges, while constructing Vrindavan temple and the temple in Juhu temple. We all know that how many challenges he had to undergo. But in spite of the challenges, he was determined. So yes, challenges do comes, but that when the challenges comes, we should take the opportunity. So we should use that opportunity to actually turn that into opportunity. Sorry. So here Vidura, he used that opportunity to go on a pilgrimage, as Gauraharti Mataji nicely summarized. And when somebody criticizes you, what you can do? Plenty of opportunity. You can open Bhagavad Gita. Of course, we will definitely handle it in a way. We'll try to handle that situation and try to respond. But these days, they can't keep it for themselves. They have to, vent out. And the easiest medium is WhatsApp, Facebook, email, phone, or whatever. Just vent out their feelings. But we can just simply turn our attention to Bhagavad Gita, turn our attention to Bhagavatam, open a page and read a little bit. Yes. Nowadays, now in the current situation of pandemic, you can't go on a pilgrimage. But if you open Bhagavad Gita, you're on a pilgrimage. If you open Bhagavatam, you're on a pilgrimage. And somebody gave another example here. Sorry. Who was that? Yes, Dhruv Maharaj was another example, how he turned the challenge into opportunity. And in the case of Narad used, when Narad was a little boy, a son of maid servant, his mother passed away. But he took that opportunity just to leave that place, go towards north and practice devotion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can I, you briefly touched this opportunity, but can I just also add a point on this?
Yeah.
Not on Dhruv Maharaj, but the current situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while the most of, people are complaining about the current situation,
Mm-hmm.
the Hare Krishna movement and the devotees have had a feast like never before.
So they had more virtual programs than ever before.
All of us have listened more to talks because it's sometimes more, by traveling, sometimes it's not convenient to travel and all that. Just in the convenience of your home, I might be just cooking and listening, whatever, it's, and the people who are giving these classes. And I think the contact we're coming with, the devotees that we never ever dreamed, worldwide, is just amazing, because the recent experience with Jaipataka Maharaj and Japathon, Yagnas, things I have never seen before. Amazing, amazing.
Yes.
Haribol.
So thank you so much. And we can go on and on and on and on. Thank you very much for sharing that realization, Mataji. I fully agree. But from this whole incident, there are 2 points from Vidura that we can learn. One is speaking the truth, even if it is unpalatable to the other party, but we should present it, yes, um, without causing much disturbance. We should not be afraid of speaking truth. That's the number 1 point. In the assembly, in front of everyone, he pointed out the main problem with you is that you are maintaining a person, offense personified, your son Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, who is non-devotee of Krishna, who is causing all these things. So a devotee is not afraid of speaking truth. And secondly, a devotee turns challenges into opportunities. Blessing in disguise. He always sees that. What is pilgrimage? Pilgrimage means it's not just going to the holy place alone. Going to the holy place and hearing from the saintly people is the real pilgrimage. Prabhupada always says that. We have a tendency sometimes, we just tick, I've gone to this place, gone to this place, gone to this place. But have we heard the glories of that place from a devotee? That is real pilgrimage. And that we can do sitting from our own home. Prabhupada has given that opportunity. By keeping this altar, Prabhupada said, every house now in Hare Krishna became a pilgrimage. You worship the Lord, you offer your bhoga there, you do your harati, bhajan, kirtan, and you read Bhagavatam. So that is the real pilgrimage. So those are the 2 points from that incident. And now let's move on. He was on a pilgrimage for a long time. On pilgrimage, he was constantly thinking about Krishna. Constantly thinking about Krishna. While he was on pilgrimage, he met Uddhav. Uddhav is dear associate of Lord Krishna. And from Uddhav, he heard the news of departure of Yadu dynasty, Krishna and complete Yadu dynasty. And Uddhav said that I'm now going to Badrikashram. Now you go to Maitreya Muni, who is residing nearby, and take lessons from him. On the advice of Uddhav, Vidura went to Maitreya Muni, and there was a big chapter, the questions and answers. So Vidura questioned. So when a saintly person, when a devotee meet another saintly person, then he inquires from him submissively, learns the truth. So that's another thing. Third point we can learn is that inquiring submissively from the realized souls, other devotees who knows better than us. Always inquiring submissively. This submissive inquiry was relating to Krishna, not for the mundane inquiry, but inquiry related to the ultimate goal. So now let's move on then. What did he do after the pilgrimage? So basically he was a sannyasi. He was in the renounced order. He was not depending on anyone for his maintenance. He was just living carefree. And then what did he do? From pilgrimage, why did he leave for pilgrimage? Because he was insulted by Duryodhan. And Duryodhan said that you must leave this place. You have no room. We are feeding you. We are not going to feed you any longer. You get out. And see, Vidura was so nice, so genuine. Vidura is a true friend. Uh, and he comes back. He comes back to Hastinapur after the war has ended. The battle of Kurukshetra, when that was taking on, Vidura was on pilgrimage. And our Balram, Lord Balram, was also on pilgrimage. Balram did not participate in the battle of Kurukshetra. So battle had concluded and Pandavas became victorious, and Dhritarashtra lost all his 100 sons. And Maharaj Yudhishthir became the ruler or the king of entire earthly planet. So Dhritarashtra and his wife Gandhari, they were old, they lost their children, and then that's why they were under the care of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir he became king. So they were nicely looked after by Maharaj Yudhishthir. Although they were in agony because they lost their children, yet they were nicely maintained by, looked after by Maharaj Yudhishthir. So, and Vidura that time returns to Hastinapur after a long time. Let us read that from first canto, 13th chapter, and we will take some more lessons from there. So share the screen. Oops, not that one then. Okay. So chapter 13. So chapter 13, entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. Could I kindly ask someone to read from text 6, please? I will stop if necessary.
Prabhuji, should I read?
Please, Mataji.
Somebody else can read, Prabhuji. It's fine. Somebody else can.
Somebody else. Okay.
Who likes to?
Okay, just 1 second.
If not, then I will.
Yes, actually from first, text. Yeah, Mataji, carry on from text 1 onward. Sorry.
Okay, Prabhuji. Sri Sutta Goswami, 13th chapter, Dhritarashtra quits home. Yes, Prabhuji. Sri Sutta Goswami said, while traveling on a pilgrimage, Vidura received knowledge of the destination of the self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. He became as well versed in the subject as he desired. After asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. When they saw Vidura return to the palace, all the inhabitants, Maharaja Yudhishthira, his younger brothers Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjaya, Kripacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Kripi, many other wives of the Kauravas and other ladies with children all hurried to him in great delight. It so appeared that they had regained their consciousness after a long period. When, with great delight, they all approached him, as if life had returned to their bodies. They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces. Due to anxieties and long separation, they all cried out of affection. King Yudhishthira then arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception. After Vidura ate sumptuously and took sufficient rest, he was comfortably seated. Then the king began to speak to him, and all who were present there listened. Maharaja Yudhishthira said, "My uncle, do you remember how you always protected us, along with our mother, from all sorts of calamities? Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poisoning and arson. While traveling on the surface of the earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? My Lord, devotees like yourself, like your good self, are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. My uncle, you must have visited Dwarka. In that holy place are our friends and well-wishers, the descendants of Yadu, who are always wrapped in the service of Lord Sri Krishna. You might have seen them or heard about them. Are they all living happily in their abode? Thus, being questioned by Maharaja Yudhishthira, Mahatma Vidura gradually described everything he had personally experienced, except news of the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Compassionate Mahatma Vidura could not stand to see the Pandavas distressed at any time. Therefore, he did not disclose this unpalatable and unbearable incident, because calamities come of their own accord. Thus, Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother, and in this way bring happiness to all others. As long as Vidura played the part of a Shudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamiraj to punish those who committed sinful acts.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So Vidura returned from pilgrimage to Hastinapur after the battle of Kurukshetra, as we discussed. And so he was received very nicely by all the people present there, because it was a long time that they had seen Vidura. So he was received very nice, and he was fed nicely. And after that, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he was just remembering various things that Vidura did, like, how Vidura protected. Vidura was his uncle, their uncle, Pandava's uncle, and Dhritarashtra and his party always planning, cunningly to kill Pandavas. But Vidura protected them, protected Pandavas time and again with his advice. So he was remembering that just like a wing of a bird protects its own babies, similarly you protected us, my Lord. How are you? Where did you go? All these things he asked. But one particular verse he mentions about Vidura is that text 10, famous text. Let us read that once again. Share the screen. In text 10, famous verse. My Lord, this is spoken by Yudhishthir to Vidura. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into pilgrimage. What a beautiful verse. He's telling that you are non-different from holy place. You are actually non-different from holy place. Why? Because in holy place, what is there? In every holy place, there is personality of Godhead. Glories of discussions of personality of Godhead. Wherever personality of Sri Krishna is there, that is the holy place. The pure devotees of the Lord, they carry the Lord with them. So they are non-different from holy place. Rather, what he said, that you turn all the places into pilgrimage. Wherever they go, that place becomes a pilgrimage. We have a wonderful example of our dear Prabhupada. So he, just like Vidura, he was in pilgrimage, but he left the pilgrimage, came to West. And Prabhupada, wherever he went, he was like a pilgrimage. And he turned all the places into pilgrimage because of Prabhupada. See how many temples are there around the world now. How many people became devotees of Lord Krishna. So he could have just completely satisfied staying in Vrindavan. No, but he came out. So Advaita Acharya said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Oh my Lord, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan." So wherever Prabhupada was, that is Vrindavan. Wherever the pure devotees, that is Vrindavan. So this purport is also beautiful, but you can go and read as we don't have much time. What else he mentions? He came to correct the mentality of his elder brother Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is passing time, simply passing time after everybody, all his relatives had left him alone. They died, but yet he is still maintaining. And he wanted to correct the mentality of his elder brother Dhritarashtra. That's why he came back from the pilgrimage. Srila Prabhupada also, he wanted to correct the mentality of the people of this world. That's why he left Vrindavan. He came to West. This is what a devotee does. A saintly person, he doesn't keep, he takes other suffering as their own suffering. Paradukka dukki. Materialistic people are the other way around. So they become envious of other people. But in contrary, pure devotees of the Lord are paradukka dukki. They take other suffering as their own suffering. So Srila Prabhupada, so leaving Vrindavan, came to West and undergone so many hardships. When you preach, when you try to give this message, it's not easy at all. But last night, Dhananand Swami Maharaj was mentioning that all of our acharyas will bestow their blessings upon us by engaging in the service of Prabhupada. They shower their blessings. It's not easy to preach. But that time, like now, at least we have a proper society. It's easy, much easier now than before. Prabhupada took so many hardships. And so he came to correct the mentality of people in general. And we can check ourselves. How was my mentality before I came to Krishna consciousness? And how is my mentality now? Is there any change? So that is Prabhupada. And so I was like drawing so many similarities, some similarities between Prabhupada and Vidura. So let us see what advice he gave to his elder brother Dhritarashtra. So now I request someone to read from text 17 to text 28. So I can't see you. So please unmute yourself and read from text 17 to 28.
I read again then, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Insurmountable eternal time, imperceptibility overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thoughts. Mahatma Vidura knew all this, and therefore he addressed Dhritarashtra, saying, "My dear king, please get me out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just see how fear has overtaken you. This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world. My lord, it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as eternal time, Kala, that has approached us all. Whoever is under the influence of Supreme Kala, eternal time, must render his most dear life, and what to speak of other things such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home. Your father, brother, well-wishers, and sons are all dead and passed away. You yourself have extended the major portion of your life. Your body is now overtaken by invalidity, and you are living in the home of another. You have been blind from your very birth, and recently you have become hard of hearing. Your memory is shortened, and your intelligence is disturbed. Your teeth are loose, your liver is defective, and you are coughing up mucus. Alas, how powerful are the hopes of a living being to continue his life. Verily, you are living just like a household dog and are eating remnants of food given by Bhim. There is no need to live a degraded life and subsist on the charity of those whom you tried to kill by arson and poisoning. You also insulted one of their wives and usurped their kingdom and wealth. Despite your unwillingness to die and your desires to live, even at the cost of honor and prestige, your miserly body will certainly dwindle and deteriorate like an old garment. He is cold, undisturbed, who goes to an unknown, remote place and, freed from all obligations, quits his material body when it has become useless. He is certainly a first-class man who awakens and understands, either by himself or from others, the falsity and misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and depends fully on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart. Please, therefore, leave for the north immediately, without letting your relatives know, for soon that time will approach which will diminish the good qualities of men."
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mara.
So,
Thank you.
So this was the preaching of Vidura to his elder brother, Dhritarashtra. And we discussed that his main purpose of returning to Hastinapur is to deliver this Dhritarashtra, his elder brother, nothing else. He didn't want to come back from the pilgrimage. He preaches heavily here, very heavily. And that's why Vidura is a true friend. Can somebody tell me what a true friend means? Yes, Mataji.
Someone who is not concerned with the response that that person is going to give, but he is still going to give him the best advice for him.
Best advice. It is ultimately beneficial to that person. That is real friend. And Vidura is a true friend. So we have example of Karna and Duryodhan from Mahabharata. Karna was looked after by Duryodhan. He gave him kingdom. So although Karna knew that Duryodhan was number one rascal, he still supported Duryodhan's actions. And Duryodhan thought Karna is my best friend. A best friend, a true friend, is one who gives the correct advice which is ultimately beneficial to that person. So people may think that Karna is a good friend of Duryodhana. What kind of friend are you when you're not able to correct your own friend? There is another example from Ramayana. When Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, Ravana had two brothers, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishan. Kumbhakarna said that you have done an abominable action, O my brother Ravan, but I will still support you because you are my elder brother. In contrary, Vibhishan, he said, it is completely wrong. You must return. I'm not going to support you at all. You must return Sita Devi. That is true friend. A true friend is one who speaks, who gives the advice which is ultimately beneficial to ourselves. And our true friend is Prabhupada. Please think about it. Think once, twice, thrice, and again, time and again. Yes, our true friend is Prabhupada, a well-wisher. So Vidura, and he was giving he gave the medical report of Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra. So let me see that medical report. I'll read it out in text 22. Maybe some of us can relate to ourselves. Right, text 22. You've been blind from your very birth, and recently you have become hard of hearing. Your memory is shortened, and your intelligence is disturbed. Your teeth are loose, your liver is defective, and you are coughing up mucus. So still, he's telling, how all these problems are there, but still you are trying to comfortably enjoy the royal reception given by the people who you wanted to kill them. What kind of person are you? Come on. Get up. Get out of the house. Go to north. Practice devotion. Practice yoga. And perfect your life. Perfect your life. And that was the advice. The preaching, it was heavy preaching. Prabhupada writes so many beautiful points in those purports. One good thing with Dhritarashtra was that he listened to his brother at the end. He left for the north. Prabhupada mentions that there are some Dhritarashtras, they are not practicing, they are not taking up to Krishna consciousness. It's a heavy statement, I'm sorry to say that, but Prabhupada mentions that Dhritarashtra, at least he has taken up some kind of yoga. He took up the advice given by his younger brother. But some people, they are not willing to take up devotion. We know that the time is running away. We know that we are getting older day by day. We know all these problems, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. But yet we don't take up to Krishna consciousness fully. So then going further north, that's another thing that I wanted to mention, that north is the place, if you read the story of Pandavas, they retired and they went to north. And now Dhritarashtra was advised by Vidura to go to north and perfect his life. And even Narad left for north as a son of maid servant. North is the place of Himalayas, and where so many ashrams, wonderful saintly people live near the ashrams of Himalayas. So how do we go to north? How do we go on pilgrimage? So this is attending this Sangha is like going to north, simply. And attending this Sangha, reading Bhagavatam in the association, hearing Bhagavatam in the association of devotees is going on a pilgrimage. We need not to. If Prabhupada said that you need not to give up your place, like, here in the case of Dhritarashtra, he had to leave home. But Prabhupada said, no, don't worry, just stay where you are. Just transform your home into pilgrimage. Have that altar, offer bhoga, and eat prasadam. Hear Krishna Katha, and give Krishna Katha to others. Share this knowledge with others. Prabhupada said, you need not to give up your place. Your own home becomes a holy place. So Dhritarashtra had to leave. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Sthanes Titi Shrutigatam. Just stay where you are and hear. Lend your ear for Krishna Katha. That's it. And so after they had left, Dhritarashtra, his wife Gandhari, and Vidura, so they three left for the north without telling anyone. And in the morning, Maharaj Yudhishthir woke up and he did not see his uncles and auntie. So he asked Dhritarashtra's secretary Sanjay, where did they go? And Sanjay said, I don't know. They left somewhere, even they didn't tell me. And Maharaj Yudhishthir was so much in agony, and he was just thinking, like, my uncles were old. How are they going to be maintained? Who is going to look after them? And that time, Narada Muni comes. Narad says that, Maharaj Yudhishthir, do you think you are the maintainer? Lord will look after. Lord is the real maintainer of all the living entities. And then he says that, so they went, they left for the north, and your eldest uncle, Dhritarashtra, he has become a great yogi, Ashtanga yogi. And within few days, he will give up his body, and he will attain liberation. So that is the message that Narad gives to Maharaj Yudhishthir. And what happens, like, yes, he practiced yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and he left his body. Of course, Gandhari also left her body as well. How did Vidura felt? There is one verse. Let me read that. Text 51. I'll read it from here, and then we can end. So, yeah, 59 purport, sorry. So Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage. He was affected, Vidura was affected with delight and grief. Why was he was happy? He was happy that somehow or other his brother achieved some perfection. Then why was he sorrowful? Why was he not happy? That he felt that I could not make my brother a devotee. He only had liberation. Above liberation, there is bhakti. So devotees are at a much higher platform than the yogis, mystic yogis. Mystic yogis, they aim for the liberation, merging into the existence of the Lord. And the devotees are completely different. They serve the Lord. So text 59, I'll read the purport. It's a small purport. Yeah, I will share and read it so that everybody can see that. Beautiful purport. Text 59 of the 13th chapter of first canto. Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave that place of pilgrimage, sacred pilgrimage. Vidura was astonished to see the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi. For in his past life, he was much attached to materialism. Dhritarashtra was a materialistic person before he became yogi. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained desirable goal of life. Vidura was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because Dhritarashtra's being inimical to the Pandavas, who were all devotees of the Lord. An offense at the feet of a Vaishnava is more dangerous than an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic. But ultimately, the result of such mercy is certainly dependent on the will of the Supreme Lord in the present life. Therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only. And after many such liberated states of life, one can attain the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of his brother and his sister-in-law. And the only remedy to mitigate such lamentation was to go out to pilgrimage. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira had no chance to call back Vidura, his surviving uncle. So it was the mercy of Vidura that Dhritarashtra attained liberation, although he could not make him a pure devotee of the Lord, but at least he got him liberated. And also, it is the mercy of our Acharyas, Prabhupada, that we are taking, that we forget this. I see day in and day out, we simply forget this. That simply one simple fact, if you remember, one simple fact that just because of the mercy I am here, I'm saved. I'm saved from the clutches of Maya because of the mercy of these saintly people, Prabhupada and other devotees. We just simply forget this simple truth. And when we forget this simple truth, we try and criticize everyone and do so many things. Read books. We read books. We all should read and hear books and then purify our consciousness. How can we just simply forget that we are here just because of the mercy of the Lord and his devotees, especially his devotees? Prabhupada says that actually Lord's devotees are more merciful than the Lord. Krishna in Gita, Krishna said that this knowledge should not be given to everyone. Only certain people who are pious, who do not criticize, who accept this truth, okay. But Prabhupada went a step ahead and he gave it to everybody. Everybody. And Prabhupada repeatedly says that devotees of the Lord are more merciful than the Lord. So some or other, we are very fortunate having received a fraction of that mercy. We should always remember this very fact, that how fortunate we are to receive that mercy. And then when we realize our position, we become automatically humble. A true knowledge means humility is the true knowledge. When we know actual truth, that is true knowledge, that is humility. Okay, let us see what we have learned from Vidura's life. So one thing that we saw, that how Vidura Although externally he was a Shudra, but he was the greatest servant of Lord Sri Krishna, great saint, pure devotee of the Lord. He was like a pilgrimage. Wherever he went, he turned those places into pilgrimage. Great saint. He did not afraid of speaking the truth when necessary, and he turned the challenges into opportunities. And he also inquired submissively from Uddhav and Maitreya, questioning, inquiring from others. And he's a true friend, real well-wisher. He came back from pilgrimage to correct the mentality of his elder brother, Dhritarashtra. So these are the few things that I can share with you all. But if you have any comments or any questions, please do so. We are once again, very, very, very grateful to our dear Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas. They have taken so much pain to do this job for all of us. To write these books is not easy. Prabhupada was, of course, when he was commenting, he was taking the purports from the Acharya's books. So we are eternally grateful to all our Acharyas. Okay, so that's...
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yes, Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to ask you, did Pandavas, Drishtra and Yudhishthira, did they acknowledge their uncle and did they give him the respect and everything? Did they appreciate what he had done for them?
Which uncle you're talking about?
Vidura, did they give him the right honor and recognition?
Yes, that was there. We read in the translations. If you read the 13th chapter, where Yudhishthir tells that you are like a bird, which protects its own birds with its wings. So you protected like us. He was looked after very nicely. He was fed nicely. Yes. So they gave him proper respect.
Dhritarashtra give him respect as well.
Dhritarashtra, did they give respect to Dhritarashtra? Was that your question?
No. Did Dhritarashtra give respect to Vidura?
Yes, he always had respect. He knows that Vidura is more clever, more wise than him, but he could not follow his advice because of his son, because he is too much attached to his son.
Very good. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Too much attached to his son. Let's see if anybody has any comments. Sumadhara Radhika Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, very nice and it was so blissful. Thank you so much for your comments, Mataji. Always you try to say something good about others, which is nice to hear. But thank you all. Any other things, any other points before we leave?
Prabhuji, yeah, I just would like to say it was such a beautiful lecture, and I connected so well to the way you explained about when Vidura was leaving, he was told to leave by Duryodhan. When he referred to it as the Lord's external energies, and how you give the example of the Mother Earth, how she tolerates how many sins, the humankind and all living beings do on her, and still she tolerates. That is so beautiful. And we take everything for granted. Yes. And we are not thankful at all.
Yes, we are not thankful. But the thing is, that's a real point. But when we read the scripture, we are reminded about the truth, and then we become peaceful, we become humble, we become the knower. When we know the truth, then we automatically become peaceful. We understand, okay, when this thing happened, that is the external energy of Maya. Like, Lord, what is Lord trying to teach me from this situation? How should I turn this challenge into opportunity? But if we don't read and hear, then we hear our mind.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous. Sure. I'm telling from my own life. I'm not telling from others' life. I'm telling from my own life.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when we were kids, our mother used to, tell us how we must respect Dharti Ma and all that. But we've kind of, as we grew, we forgot about it. But it was
Sorry,
so true. Yeah, it's so
sorry, I missed that. I was looking at the message. Yeah. Can you
sorry.
repeat?
Yeah, when we were growing up, so my mom used to say how we must respect Dharti Ma and take her blessing and everything. But as we were growing up, we forgot all of it, Prabhu. All of it.
True, that is true. But this is it. Just imagine Prabhupada. Because of Prabhupada, we are able to appreciate that. And also it is our duty to try and share this message with others. We have to see that, how we can give it to others, how we can educate to others. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no? So Bharata Bhumite Haila Manushya Janma Yara Janma Sardaka Kari Paropakar. First perfect, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that first perfect your life and then you do this welfare activity. They don't know what is good for themselves. But it is our duty to share this with others. And it also helps us when we try to share with others. Yes, Mataji?
The most difficult is to share it with your own loved ones.
That is, please don't tell me about it. It's not easy. Yeah. So that's why I heard in one class that we don't teach our own family members. We ask our friends, our devotee friends to teach our family members. But some people can do that. I know from my personal example, I've seen that some devotees, they can influence their family members because when you give love so much, then they listen to you. I'm not sure. I'm not going into that deep topic now, but yes, in some families it is possible. But if it is not possible, you have to plan a trick. You have to, plan, and then you have to ask someone to come
and be patient.
If your daughter is a doctor, get a doctor devotee. If your daughter is, if a child is an engineer or a computer science, computer engineer, get a similar kind of devotee. And then they connect to us, they preach, it becomes easy. It is not always easy to preach your own family members, not easy, but we just try and we ask someone else to do that.
Yes, I think, it always works better that way, because when you're the family direct connection, you're taken for granted, okay, she always says, okay, one of those things. But when you get somebody else to say, they'll listen and they look at it differently, which I have seen for sure.
Yes,
thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other things? Any other points?
Just adding to Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just adding to Mataji's point, we think that our children don't take notice or they don't listen, but just like Mataji is remembering that's what she was taught when she was in her childhood and she had forgotten. With our children, whatever we teach them, whether they accept it or not, it is with them. And sometimes it comes up when the parents have passed away or when they mature. So it's not wasted.
Yeah, so it all depends. But if you have we try to teach. We have the example of Hiranyakashipu and Maharaj Hanga. Hiranyakashipu was a materialistic atheist, but his son was a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. So in contrary, Maharaj Anga was a pure devotee. And he wanted his son Vena to be a good devotee as well. But King Vena was a rascal number one. He used to kill children when he was playing with the children. So the thing is, we try to educate our own children in our level best. There should always be endeavor from our side. And if it doesn't work, no worries. At least we'll ask other devotees to preach them or help them, whichever works. But there should always be endeavor from our side to educate them. We should also give time. to our own children, because it's very, very important. If I don't speak to my own children, they think, what's he doing for me? What my dad is doing for me? We should give time. We should spend time with our own children. Just like, it's natural. Sometimes my wife tells me, if I want to tell to my daughter, first she says that you should play with her before you instruct her something. And then it worked for me several times.
I'm very much with Mataji on this point, Haribol.
Yes. So when I played sometime, then I could see that, yes, she listened to me. So there are various techniques, but the intention should be there. And sometimes our children listen to us, sometimes they may not listen, but at least endeavor. And if not, if anything, and nothing works, just pray. Pray for, pray to Krishna that one day, that Krishna, please shower your blessings. If you, Prabhupada, you and Krishna yourself, if you show your mercy, they will one day or someday, they become devotees of the Lord. That's what we can do. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Excellent class.
So, excellent purport by Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Excellent purports by Prabhupada. We are very, very fortunate to have this beautiful knowledge. Just by reading, we become peaceful, calm, quiet. We need not to go to any psychiatrist, any doctor. Just by reading. Nowadays in pandemic, everyone is suffering from mental health issues. But when we take this medicine, automatically our mental health gets better. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate for giving your association and for taking part nicely. And so tomorrow is Sunday, and the topic for tomorrow is 3 types of workers. So that is from the 18th chapter, and please do take time to attend. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nandaraj Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanandi. Hari
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 Bol.
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.